Hey, what is going on? If this is your first time meeting me, my background is basically I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu consistently since 2016. So I'm basically going to distill what I've learned from a takedown perspective in those years of training Jiu-Jitsu. I've also had some MMA fights. So I'm going to give you what I've learned thus far, some tips, and distill that into about 30 minutes. As you can see here, I am a white belt in judo. I'm over at Pedro's Judo because my intention during this training session is to use Nogi grips and to test some of, my Nogi takedown game with judo players. And here's what's called fit-ins. So basically, we are not going for a full takedown, but just fitting in. And one thing that is super important, and a female who is both a black belt in judo and a black belt in jiu-jitsu told me this. She said that anytime that you're going, she basically starts rounds doing exactly what we're doing here, which is threatening an inside, and basically you're going from leg to leg. I think this is like a uchigari. So basically you're tapping both of the inside legs, and it's basically to get a reaction or a straight up takedown, as you can see here. And an equation that you can use to translate most gi grips into Nogi is a collar grip can translate into a tie, a neck tie. And a sleeve grip can translate into just gripping the wrist. So you'll see, if you ever watch wrestling, like wrestling takedowns, like you see my right arm that has a collar tie and my left arm has a wrist grip. Which in MMA, it's really important to grab that wrist because you're preventing from getting punched in the face, which is always a plus. Take it from the girl who has a black eye. So you're hitting the feet because if you can get their body moving while their foot stops, then that's a takedown. All right, next we're gonna do some pad work. So this first throw that you see me doing is called an uchimata, and if you're a jiu-jitsu player, this uchimata is extremely important because if you look at the statistical analysis of competitions, the uchimata is the most successful takedown used against any type of single leg attacks. So if somebody is trying to come up on a single, I have a video where I try to wrestle up on a single and I get uchimata'd hard. It's almost like you're loading up yourself on their leg whenever you attack a single and go for an uchimata. The second takedown that you see, the difference is if you see the leg going fully across both legs, that's the second takedown. The first one, the uchimata one, is just when you have your leg in between theirs. This second takedown, I don't know the name of it. If you know the name of it, let me know. This one was successful. I got this in going across the two legs. I got this in one of my MMA fights. So here I have an underhook and a wrist grip instead of a collar tie. So that's, instead of gripping on the neck, I'm going underneath the armpit. So like a pummel. From a pummel position, a pummel and a wrist grip. One pummel and one wrist grip. And here I'm working head position, like good head position. So trying to start with my head under the chin. It's great when you can get the movement right. Like for this type of throw, the reason why I'm practicing some steps beforehand is if you can get them to step towards you, then their weight's going forward and it's much easier for them to fall over your outstretched leg if they're already moving forward. And the best way to get somebody to move forward when you're in a fight is to push them back, because it's like it's like reverse psychology, but physical reverse psychology. Because in a physical fight, they're going to try to do the exact opposite of everything that you initially do. So if you pull them forward, they're going to resist going backwards. If you push them backwards, they're going to naturally want to come forward.
That leg lift, you're already on the leg, lifting that leg. You're already on the leg, lifting that leg.
All right, this next part of training is fun. I'm so happy I'm a white belt in judo because this part of training is the lower belt of any pair. The lower ranking belt gets to throw the upper belt, and the upper belt can't do any takedowns. They can only strictly defend. So that, I was really happy because then that means I get to practice more takedowns and less defense. And from a beginner's perspective, I've looked at judo throws like from a risk-reward perspective. I found that anytime I've tried to do a straight hip throw, it was more of a risk than a reward because it made the person have easier access to my back. So if I messed up, I would get my back taken more frequently. Whereas I find these throws where you're throwing the opponent forward and you have a leg either between their legs, like an uchimata, or across both of their legs, like that throw in which I don't know the name, then there's less of a chance of getting your back. Like I haven't gotten my back taken from a failed uchimata. So from an effective perspective, if you're looking at risk versus reward, I love the takedowns that involve sticking a leg out. All right, here's the second partner. Oh, this is nice. I love, this partner is a wrestler. So I could tell straight away because it seemed like he had like an anti-gravity force with his back anytime we would do, like live Randori. And just so nice to train with somebody that's around your same weight class because then you don't feel like you got hit by a truck after training. I think it's Osoto and Kosoto, going for like the inside of the legs. I have to look it up though. There's like a really good chart with the original judo throws that gives you a picture of everything. And one of the biggest tips I found was when my first coach was a judo black belt, and I remember him telling me, like, you have to be willing to fall to get somebody else to fall because you're basically falling on top of them. So I found a lot, like with an uchimata, there's like a hop that you can do where you're basically like hopping on one leg and you're circling, and that is like super helpful, and you have to almost be like willing to go face first to the ground with grips because you essentially fall on top of them. I don't know what it is, but like watching training sometimes like makes me Makes me hot. Oh, hold on one second. All right, now we're going to, let's see, what is this? This is still the same game of the lower belt throws the upper belt with the upper belt just defending, but we'll see what happens on this one.
I'm not lifting my partner, I'm not throwing our partner. Does everyone understand? How many are doing?
Yeah, so he's definitely doing a little more defense by threatening throws and not allowing me to get grips and basically stepping out of the way. Seems like when you go to, it's interesting because when you try to go to hook the foot, and if you're committed and the hook isn't there, oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like I went for a rear trip, and any type of single leg, like that's just an example of how you can load yourself up on a leg and then an uchimata can happen. And then, you know, the coach was like, hey, the lower belt's supposed to throw. Confirmation? No, it is so windy outside right now that, oh, this is a throw that I've been working on. It seems to work very well if somebody is already committed to being bent forward. All right, so this next judo game is now we can both throw each other, but the lower belt gets to give the upper belt one rule. And I think his rule was no power grip. Sorry. Casualties, camera casualties. Did you feel that throw? It was a good one. Oh, she is trying. Oh, that was a nice throw. Nice. All right, next it's the same thing. And this is another second partner. Oh, here we go. The rule that I gave him is no stiff arming because I want to get more, ooh. I find that sometimes when people stiff arm you, I want access to the body. Like I want us to actually do the movement. And sometimes if you spend the whole entire round just stiff arming each other, it's almost like I don't know, when I do it to people, it's almost like I'm afraid of engaging. And when I'm in judo, like I would rather be thrown than to not be thrown if it means me practicing my throws or understanding what happened in order for me to get thrown. You know what I mean? It's like the experience of being in it and throwing. It's like, ooh, look at that. That reversal seems to be working. Oh, that was so good. Oh, but it ended up in a back take. That's what I'm talking about. That had an arm throw. if you watch my channel, then you've definitely seen it before. I'm not sure what the rules are for judo. I don't know if you can grab a head and arm, or even if you can do nogi grips. I'd have to ask. I'm just a white belt.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Find your own partner. Go through them.
All right. Now this third partner, you've seen him previously. He has wrestling experience, so I'm faking a shot to double leg. I don't think you can attack the legs in judo. Oh, look at that. That was such a good inside trip.
It's like a anti-gravity with the back on that.
What's really interesting here is the boxing stance. Oh, and look, and there's probably no heel hooks in judo. It's interesting how the defense of getting grips is kind of similar to parrying.
10 more seconds. Mate. All right. Next, we're trying out. We're going to do their one. Pick your partner.
All right, next up, you are seeing just straight up Randori, no rules. Oh, that was good. Ooh.
If you get thrown, you throw. Keep it going. We're going to do another 2 minutes.
This is fun. This is making you want to go train. Just give me a hug. Just come and do my arms.
Mate. First down with Chris. Chen with Scott.
All right, next up we have ruler of the mat, going from lowest to highest belt.
Yeah. You can have the waza too. All right, Hajime.
Oh, I go for an outside trip, but I guess if you land in turtle, then it doesn't count as a takedown. I'm not sure of the rules. Oh, that's such a good throw. And I immediately go for an arm bar. Let's see what happens here. Oh, nice.
This should feel like a quick one.
See what happens here. Oh, see this takedown right here, the one that he just did, that takedown works so well against any type of hip throw. That combined with like the leg in between. Oh, we have a black belt. Ooh. Look at the movement.
There was on. Yeah, 5 seconds. There was. 1, 2, 3.
It's like,
Oh yeah. Oh, this is arm.
Yeah, who was it? Oh, whatever. Yourself.
Gee, I wonder who's gonna win. No, but watch this. Watch the beauty of, look at, I'm gonna have to replay that because like here I am going right into Mountain Triangle. If you haven't gotten my instructional, the Fanatics link is below, but we'll replay his throw because the way, instead of like stepping, the way he turned his hip to get that throw, it's like, it's beautiful. It's like the angle that was created from that movement. It was almost like it started with the knee up to it, then he twisted over.
All right. Actually, Chris, you can only do side Nogi.
yeah. I have like sides of schools here where I think
All right, now it gets super interesting because we are doing throws into ground game. Starting now.
2 more matches. 2 more matches.
It's like the only chance I have is by surprise, really. Like, what's all that over there?
Yeah, keep going. You got the Wazari point.
Here, transitioning. Oh, the key is to get a knee in. That's how you stop the guard pass.
They'll break you up soon. Like, if you go to a full guard like that, they'll sort of break you up. You get like a couple seconds to try to throw like a shoulder on guard, but usually they'll break you up if your shoulder's just sitting on your back.
All right. One more match. All right, hold on. Everybody in the booth.
Let's see.
Who won the most on this side? Who won the most on this side?
Probably black belt. Second most?
It was Chris, right?
First, yeah.
All right, Chris. Against Chris. If you last more than 10 seconds, you won this game.
Oh, yeah, now is the final. So whoever had the most wins from either side. Oh. And now we're basically, it's not rule over the map, but now it's takedowns with ground game. Oh. And if you do judo, I'm not sure, like if you land on your back for a second and you're doing a reversal, if that counts as a loss or a win. It's interesting how in that outside trip, super effective. I've done that in my in my first MMA fight. So I mean, thus far, it's like the takedowns that I've been successful with in Jiu-Jitsu and Nogi, like they have been working here. So you've seen, and they've worked against me, for sure. All right, here's a special request. So the gentleman in the blue got a bow and arrow choke to the right, and afterwards he was so excited and wanted to see it, so I told him it would be on YouTube. It's funny how like the judo players get excited about ground game, like the jiu-jitsu player is gets excited about takedowns. So yeah, so that's it. You know, in summary, like all of the throws that you've seen here, it's like a testing ground for what happens, you know? It's like I find some throws, you know, there's a risk because you're gonna get your back taken. Other throws, there's less of a risk and more of a reward. Like Uchimata in Jiu-Jitsu is by far one of the most effective takedowns, especially, you know, anytime that you're trying to defend any type of single leg attack, it's a perfect counter. So that's definitely effective. And then the lateral drops that you saw throughout, like the reversals, it's basically the same principle of a lateral drop where you're either trying to like trip the outside or like go in underneath on the inside. Yeah, any takedown where basically I'm sitting down on the ground, I'm a big fan of. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to go back to Pedro's because, I don't know, I love it there. It's so much fun. So yeah, until next time, if you are more interested in takedowns or you want to see more of me training at Pedro's, just, you know, leave a comment down below. It's super interesting to see the translation of, you know, because actually judo was started as Japanese jiu-jitsu and then just got rebranded to judo, and then one of the judo players went to Brazil and then they rebranded it as Brazilian jiu-jitsu, even though like originally it was, yeah, I actually did a whole video of like the history of it. It's super interesting, but yeah, it's all just one and the same. But now the key difference is when a judo player gets a throw, they just stand up because the game is over. But when a jiu-jitsu player gets a takedown, in their mind, it's like the fight has just begun, even if you fall on your back, which is, it's just interesting how the sport kind of like makes you fight a certain way. But yeah, but thank you so much for watching. I'm sure you're getting better. I'm happy I could share some of my training and show you some takedowns that, you know, are effective and that have worked for me and to me. All right, until next time, bye.
All right. Find your own partner. Go through them and say you're my partner now. This is exercise in fighting.